Happy Invisible Illness Week, everyone. I haven't really been around this week because I have been recovering from muscular eye surgery, and that was actually a little bit more of a recovery than I had anticipated. I presume as we get older, it takes a little bit more for our bodies to recuperate. So I wanted to do somewhat of an awareness video regarding invisible illness and show my support for those that battle chronic pain, chronic illness, and invisible illness. There are many kinds of invisible illness, from Crohn's to POTS and dysautonomia, gastroparesis, Hashimoto's. Sometimes seizures can be invisible, especially if they're of the internal kind. Chronic fatigue and migraines, herniated discs, bulging discs, neuropathy, fibromyalgia, paralyzation of the intestines, both small and large, any type of dysmotility of the gut or the intestines, and IBS included, chronic migraines, nerve damage. The list goes on and on. And I think that there is so much more to invisible than a lot of the greater population might even realize. When we put our makeup on or do our hair, or gentlemen, you get dressed and put on your work clothes, or even if you don't participate in the workplace anymore, you just get dressed and do whatever with your hair, you get that stigma of you don't look sick. And then we fight that because we don't look sick, we must not be sick. And that is a very real piece of invisible illness. There is also the pain and the nausea, the vomiting. When you deal with gastroparesis and many of the other things that I myself deal with, there's the distension and the chronic headaches and the nausea, the vomiting, the constant pain and the burning in the feet, and the neuropathy pain that we get, and the constant pain everywhere. I think that a lot of other people, though, they may not know that invisible means so much more than the symptoms that go with the illness. Invisible can mean one day you wake up and you might find yourself homeless because of the insurmountable medical bills, or the other bills that have piled up because of the medical bills. Invisible may mean one or the other may feel too overwhelmed because of the chronic illness or the invisible illness, and so now we're in divorce court and we're battling that, and kids are involved and other things are involved. Invisible can mean emotional distress, mental distress, on top of the financial distress. Invisible can mean going into online communities and looking for support and finding support, and then one day the very groups that you found support in turning their backs on you for whatever reason, and then you no longer have that support that you once had, or very little support. And these things happen for whatever reason they happen, but they do, and no one really knows why, but you do still need that support. Invisible can mean, filing for Social Security benefits, and then having to wait or having to fight for those benefits year after year after year while the illness continues to worsen. Invisible means fighting with doctors, fighting, not necessarily fighting outright, but trying to plead your case and have someone believe that the illness is there, and having to present documentation over and over again just for someone to hear you that the illness is there. There are so many other things that go along with an invisible chronic illness. I hope that those battling chronic and invisible illness know that there is a place for you, whether it's in a support group or a church group or the people that you have met online or in other places, doctor's offices maybe, or in even your children's school, and you've become friends with along the way, one or two maybe even very close friends with. There's people that do care and support you and do believe you. You don't have to justify yourself. Give yourself grace for the journey. You're going to need it. And take it a day at a time, sometimes an hour at a time, sometimes it's even a minute at a time, but you can do it. It is tough some days, and some days you have that overwhelming support ready at your fingertips, and some days it just seems very, very easy. But know that invisible illness can be dealt with. It can be not so much of a burden with the right pieces in place. And just allow yourself that grace. Find people that are going to come along and uplift you, support you, care for you, and try and take yourself down that path of the learner path as opposed to the judger path. And if somebody is having a bad day and they're not offering you their understanding, just try and think, well, maybe there's something going on in their life, and that's why they're acting or saying or doing the things that they're doing, as opposed to being quick to judge. I try to take that path of the learner as opposed to the judger, because I know what it's like to be judged, and I know what it's like to not have a hand offered to me. And so I try very often to offer a hand as opposed to not. I hope that we will continue to bring awareness to invisible and chronic illness, not just this week, but every week of the year. We definitely need it. I hope that you will find support wherever you are. And if you feel like you don't have support, then come find me. I will be here for you if you ever need it. And if I don't answer right away, it's probably because I'm sick myself. But know that I'm always here for you. So whenever you can, try and keep it positive. Be true to you. And we're all in this together. You can do it. I believe in you.